the Motherhood Library. This week we're taking a break from all of the vlogs and the grocery shopping, and we are telling a story. We're telling my birth story. So my birth story begins, I think, when I found out I was expecting. I sat down and I had a conversation with Bragod, and I was like, man, I would really like to have a natural birth. A natural birth without any painkillers. Like, I just want to experience what other people have experienced with regarding like birth and what the Bible says about the hurting and everything. Like, I wanted to have that experience, and in my mind I was like, okay, probably for my first child I'll have a natural birth, and then if I don't like it, the following children I'll just have a C-section. But I really liked the idea of a natural birth, and from the people around my life, like my mother and everyone who's had kids before, my mother and friends. My mother has both experiences of a natural birth with me and a C-section with my siblings, and she always told me that you can't escape pain with either one of these. Natural birth, you have pain in the beginning. Once you give birth to your child, you will feel fine, you will be better. That's the nice thing about the natural birth, is that after you get your child, you'll feel better. Then with C-section, you'll obviously be given anesthesia or an epidural, and they'll take your baby out, but the pain comes after you get your child. So you need to be drinking painkillers a strong amount, because it's an abdominal surgery. It's a big thing. So you really need help in those first few days, because you are on these strong medications for pains, and sneezing is painful, and a lot of these things are you get pain after you give birth, and even after years you still have that effect of an epidural, because other women have stated that they can feel the cold, or they can feel when it starts to get cold or to rain, which is your waist, thank you, which is your waist, and that's where they put that epidural needle. So those after effects are they're hectic for C-section mommies. So as a woman, honestly, you can't escape pain in terms of having kids. So I decided the pain I'm choosing, especially for my first baby, I want a natural birth, right? And and that was it. We researched gynaes, and the first gynae that we got, I wanted a gynae and a hospital that are going to be close to home, so that, especially with natural birth, it happens spontaneously. It's not something you plan like a C-section. So it would be nice to have a hospital that's close by, so that we get to hospital as quick as we can. So the hospital that was close by to us was the Wilgehavel Life Hospital, and we got another doctor there. Maybe I shouldn't say her name, because it wasn't bad, but we didn't have a good experience with her. So we got there, and honestly, I just wanted something close to me. I didn't search these medical aid things, that are they in the network of the medical aid, and is the hospital in the network of the medical aid as well, because I thought you just needed to search for the doctor, but is the hospital in the medical aid? So we went for our first appointment there, and she took out my history and stuff like that. But the one thing we noted that we didn't like is that I would go to all of my prenatal appointments with my partner, and we noticed that she would pay attention to me or make eye contact with me and wouldn't acknowledge my partner at all. Like, it was as if he wasn't in the room, and we didn't like that, because we knew that my partner would also be with me in the delivery room. So we wanted a doctor who was going to acknowledge both parents and not just the pregnant parent. And then we found out later on, they actually, for my second appointment, they sent us a contract, like a birthing contract, saying that for, like, if you want to have natural birth, the certain costs that, not just natural birth, any birth rate, the cost that the medical aid won't cover. So if you're having natural birth, you're going to have to have a co-payment of like 15,000 Rand. And if you're having C-section, I think her co-payment was 30,000, right? Of which I don't mind that. Like, she's a doctor, she's providing a service, and that's it. But it isn't something that me and my partner wanted. We didn't want to stress over coughing out additional money while we're paying for medical aid. So we wanted everything to be able to be covered by medical aid. So for our second appointment, called the medical aid, and I was like, can you find a gynae or a hospital that is sort of close to us, that both the hospital is covered fully by the medical aid, the hospital stay, and the doctor. So we settled on, it's a bit further from us, but it's not that bad. We settled on Netcare Olivedale Hospital, and the doctor that we found is Dr. Gumata. And oh, shame, like, God did good work there, because she was really an amazing doctor for us. She was great. So we went to our appointments there, and the first appointment, I think was I 12 weeks pregnant. I told her that I want to have natural birth. Not 12 weeks, even before that, because I was still in my first trimester. I was like, I want to have natural birth. She's like, girl, survive first trimester and second trimester first. We'll talk about birth later on. And I was like, okay. Then, as time went by, when you are doing the pre-authorization for the hospital stay, and you do this halfway through your pregnancy, I think I was 27 weeks pregnant, somewhere there. So you do that pre-authorization, and in order to pre-authorize, the medical aid needs to know what type of procedure you will be staying in the hospital for. So she asked me, what type of birth would you like? And I was like, I want a natural birth. She's like, okay. And I thought, when you go into these hospitals, especially private hospitals, I've heard a lot of chatter around social media that private hospitals and gynecologists in private hospitals, because they are charging medical aids, they prefer doing C-section so that they benefit financially from that. So even if you don't need a C-section, they are going to want you to get a C-section. So I was expecting pushback from her, like she would be like, no, you should probably or do C-section, or even like a negative sort of tone from her to say, we'll see, or something like that, because I went in with that social media thing that these doctors like C-sections. But even her receptionist comforted me by saying that this doctor does everything in her power to make sure that you get the type of birth that you like, and she also really likes natural births, but obviously if anything goes wrong, she's game for C-section. So I was like, oh, okay. And she was really open. She didn't make it seem like it was impossible or anything like that. Also, she isn't much of a talker, so I'd suggest that doctor for you. She's not much of a talker, but she's great, man. Like, she's great. I remember we went to one of our appointments, and our baby yawned in the scan, and we couldn't see it, and she was so excited for us. Like, she was like proud of our pregnancy, like, oh, OMG, look, she's yawning. She was genuinely excited. So we really enjoy that from her. Like, she really takes care of you, even though she's like an introvert and she doesn't say much, but you can feel her energy, man. You can feel that, no, I'm safe with this person, and my baby is safe with this person. So we pre-authorized for a natural birth, and I was like, okay, this is happening. So we started now preparing for natural birth. We would take walks, not long walks, because I was lazy when I was pregnant, but I tried to take a lot of walks. Then we bought all these concoctions that TikTok suggests. We got them. Raspberry tea, got it. I ate dates like crazy, and I to this day I do not like dates because I ate dates a lot, because apparently they soften your cervix and everything like that. I also drank okra water a lot. I don't know if those things helped, but maybe they helped mentally or to soften my cervix, because my cervix didn't soften, honestly, but I'll tell you more about that. So time went by, then we went for our last appointment with our gynae, which was the 38th week appointment, and this is where you will first get your cervical check. So the doctor or the nurse, but in this case the appointment, the doctor did a cervical check, and it hurt like crazy. So they have to insert like 2 fingers inside to check how dilated you are, like how open your cervix is, right? And at 38 weeks, that's when you start to dilate. Even if it's like 1 centimeter, your body prepares and starts opening up for the baby, right? So the 38th week appointment, we did that check, and she was like, no, your cervix is shut. And I don't know, they talk about a phasing. You can chat in the comment section if you know what these things mean, but it meant that my cervix was still, I don't know, hanging. So when your cervix is starting to open up and you're giving birth, it doesn't do this. It starts going in and then opening up. So mine was still like locked. So after that, we were like, that's when I knew, like in my mind I knew, because chit chat on TikTok again always says that your first baby will take a long time to come. They won't come early, they will come late. And my child, she took her time. No, she took her time to come. So 38 weeks, there was no sign at all of labor. Then we went to 40 weeks, which is the full pregnancy week, and my due date was the 26th of Feb. And I went on maternity leave as well, but there was no sign of baby. There was no sign of baby. And I was just praying. I remember praying because she was born in 2024 and that was a leap year. I remember praying to God that I don't want a leap year baby, like a leap year date baby, like it was the 29th of Feb, ne? That's the additional day. I didn't want a baby born on the 29th of Feb, because how will you explain to a baby that you have your birthday, your actual birthday, every 4 years, but the 3 years in between you just celebrated, whether it's the 28th, whenever, like we make accommodations for you, but when on a birthday every year. I don't want to explain all of that. So baby stayed, and we entered into March, and I was fed up. It was so hot. I was extremely pregnant, overdue, and I was fed up. But it's important to note that in the 38th week appointment with the gynae, she did say that I'm going to give you as much time as possible, give your body as much time as possible to kickstart labor or have spontaneous labor. But after 41 weeks, it becomes a risk. If baby is inside for too long, it starts becoming a risk, and they need to take baby out. So exactly at 41 weeks, she booked an induction. So now they were gonna assist my body to help kickstart labor. And the 41st week of my pregnancy was on the 4th of March. All right, so now we were seeing that 4th of March was Monday. Now we were seeing that, like this Monday is coming around and there are no signs of labor. I started having contractions, honestly, my body was trying. It was slow, but it was trying. I started having contractions, but they weren't regular. There are apps to track your contractions, but they weren't regular. They were basically like Braxton Hicks contractions. My body was practicing, but they were not regular. I was just tired, and I did everything from like bouncing on the balls, curb walking, all of that. Then it was Sunday, the 3rd of March, right? and I think I just given up on spontaneous labor from my body, because I could see that no, this is not happening. And the next day I had to go to the hospital for an induction, so packed hospital bag, prepared, did everything, and then we slept. So this is where like the actual labor part is happening. So I woke up at around 2 a.m. and this was normal, because when you are pregnant you will wake up like probably every hour to go and pee, because the baby is like on your bladder. So I woke up at 2 a.m. to go and pee, and then when I wipe, there was blood. And I didn't panic, because in the 38th week appointment, doctor did say that if water comes out, which is your amniotic fluid starts coming out, like, or if you've got a bloody show, that's what they call it. So if blood comes out, or if you're, I don't remember if she said mucus plug, I forgot, but if any of those 2 or 3 things happen, then go to the hospital. So blood started coming out, and I was like, okay. I was excited because she said that this is an indicator that labor is starting, but I was also worried, because in my mind I was sure it was going to come out as your water's breaking, because that's a good sign. In my mind, blood is like, okay, yeah, she said blood, but now I'm afraid there's like anything wrong. So that happened, and then we drove to the hospital. When we drove to the hospital, the nurse was like, I saw your name, are you not supposed to come in tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah, I was, but now spontaneous labor is happening. I was excited. So we got admitted. The nurse we had was male. And if you ever go to Netcare Olivedale Hospital and you are like nursed by him, he's amazing. He's honestly the best. So he checked my dilation as well, and he was like, girl, like you only, I think he said you're 0.5 centimeters, so you can dilate from 1 centimeter to 10. The last one is 10. Other people even go higher if the baby's bigger, but that's a story for another day. He was like, you're 0.5 and you're not aphased, so your cervix is still locked, like it's still pointy. Oh Sana, that thing demotivated me, right? And he gave me shame pills to say that, hey, you are experiencing pain, because contractions had started then. So he was like, no, let's give you some sort of painkiller so that you can save your strength to when you start really dilating. This is 41 weeks and a day, Sunday the 3rd of March. Currently in labor. I'm having contractions every 3 minutes. So yeah, and that is the bump update. Yep, that's it. 0.5 centimeters dilated. Gave me painkillers and I was relaxed, right? As we were relaxed and we saw that the labor is going slowly. So I encouraged my partner to go back home and rest until the actual time for when labor's going like rough comes. So Sunday, Sunday, this is Sunday. We went to the hospital Sunday, like the beginning of Sunday, so 2 a.m. Sunday, right? So we were packing for the hospital Saturday. So yeah, so Sunday now, it's during the day, I'm at the hospital, I'm taking a lot of walks, and there's this another nurse would come and check me all the time. She bought me a bouncing ball as well, and she kept on telling me, she was honest with me, she was like, hey girl, like you're not progressing, right? And it would like break my heart, because I was like, damn. My doctor came in for her rounds during the day, I don't know, around 9 or 8, I'm not sure, I don't remember the time. And she checked the chart and she was like, girl, you're not dilating, hey? Like if you're not dilated, or if you haven't given birth this time tomorrow, so this time on Monday, we will have to do the C-section at 8 tomorrow. Oh, that thing broke me. I was like, but we had this discussion, ma'am. You know I want to have a natural birth. But she was like, nah, because you're so late, because you're so overdue and this labor's taking long, baby might get tired and all of those things. So now I was like panicking, starting to exercise a lot to try and get my labor moved, right? And the doctor also said we will, because it was spontaneous labor, so she offered a solution to say that we will induce you from now on till tomorrow, and if tomorrow the induction has failed, then we will do a C-section. She was like, I didn't want an induction, honestly, because I heard from other mothers that induction doesn't give you time to breathe, right? It's contractions. Their contractions are hectic and they come always, right? Like they come all the time. They don't give you a break. But with natural labor, because your body understands, you have pain and then it will give you a break, and then you have pain and it will give you a break. What they said about induction is true, but I'm getting there. So they induced me. I don't remember what that thing was, but it had a string. I'll try and find it and attach it. So they inserted that, and at first it looked like it didn't work. It wasn't working. During the day I had that thing and it wasn't working, and but luckily they would check baby's heartbeat and she was still doing good, which I appreciated. So then it got late. My partner came. Luckily with these hospitals, they allow your partner to come. They have their own chair, they can stay. So just however long your partner wants to stay until you guys give birth. Then after the birth, they have to adhere to visiting hours. So my partner came through, and then later on I started progressing. Then someone said I was 1 centimeter dilated, then it went to 3. Then 3 I started seeing like uNkulunkulu nabangani bakhe. It was it was painful, or I thought it was painful at 3. I was like, this is going like hectic, and I kept on being at 3 centimeters for a very long time, like I wasn't dilating. But the pains kept on going, like they were extreme, to a point where I told that nurse, please take this induction thing out of me. And he's like, do you know if we take this induction thing from you, then we have to schedule the C-section, because without it you won't be progressing. I'm like, it's fine. That's how painful it was. Little did I know that it was painful, because personally I don't think I was at 3 centimeters, because that thing was really painful, man. And then he kept on checking me, and then he found that I'm progressing even without the induction thing inside me, right? And then I wanted painkillers, and I was like, I'm in pain, I can't do this anymore. And he was like, I have to check, that thing that they put in your stomach to check babies' heartbeats. He's like, he has to put that on me for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Then we need to see how baby's doing with the labor. Then if baby's doing good, then I'll get my epidural. I kept on screaming for an epidural. Then we tried doing that thing, and I couldn't sit still because of the pain. So you have to sit still for 20 to 30 minutes. I couldn't sit still at all. So he's like, ma'am, if you can't sit still, you won't get an epidural. And I was like, take this thing off me. Then I started going then. I remember the only thing that would sort of try and help my pains was to be on the floor. I took out that hospital gown because I was too hot and I was just naked. It was crazy. Then it's tiled moss, those hospital things. I don't know how to call it, but it's cold on the floor. I started I laid down on the floor because the pain was so much. I screamed. I thought I'd be demure and be like when pain comes. Hey, I didn't know I could scream the way I scream. I scream in that hospital. Yeah, no, it was hectic. So labor was continuing, and now the nurse, I was reasonable at first, but now the nurse would give me instructions or say I must do this or come and want to check my dilation, and I'd be like, I don't want to. And then I started saying, where's my epidural? Remember how he said that I can't have an epidural without checking the baby? I think because I was in labor, I didn't remember that. So anytime he would come in, I'd be like, where's my epidural? I didn't listen to him. like all I said was, where is my epidural, to a point where he started having to tell my partner something that he needed me to do, so that my partner would convey that message to me, because I didn't want to listen to the nurse. The only person I listened to was my partner. And it went, oh shame, it went, and then these times were like now late Monday. We're getting into Monday, so 12/1 Monday. And I was going through it to a point where I told my partner to pray for me, because I could see that I don't think I'm gonna make it. And then I don't remember around what, maybe around 2. Then we moved from my room to the delivery room. We moved there, and now I think I was progressing a lot, because doctor was being called, and the nurse was like, now I had the feeling that I wanted to push. And I started pushing, like, you know how my nurse told me to not push, and that angered me. I think I even shouted at him during that time. I was like, I can't stop. They tell you to stop, but it's literally your body, like, it forces you, it does it for itself. So I started pushing then, but I think I pushed for a long time, because I started pushing, doctor wasn't there, and they said doctor's gonna take 20-30 minutes to come, and then she came, and then I was still pushing. So I think I pushed for a long time. I don't remember the times and stuff. I pushed for a long time. Like, I was in and out of consciousness as well. Like, I don't remember a lot of what happened during that time. Then I remember the most excruciating pain, and that pain came from, they call it the ring of fire. This is when baby's head is like showing, it's in your cervix or starting to come out. That thing is so painful. I've never experienced such pain. I've never experienced such pain. I remember they say that after you give birth, like, times, it's not as bad as when, like, it's not as fresh in my mind, but I remember that pain, Shem. So it was ring of fire. Then my nurse kept on saying, no, push, all of those, like, dramatic things that they say. Nurse was also encouraging me to push. Everyone's just saying push. Did my best, and baby came out, and I was, I've never been that relieved. Like, my body was so relieved. And then they took baby and they put her on my tummy, and she was so beautiful. My baby was so beautiful, and she came out looking like her. You know how babies come out and their eyes aren't open yet, and you have to wait for a couple of days for them to open their eyes? Her eyes were wide open. She was so beautiful. Her eyes were so beautiful. I don't remember if she came out crying, but when they put her on my tummy, she wasn't crying. She was just looking at me, and we looked at each other, and the first words I say to her was, I didn't know I was carrying such a beautiful girl. And then the nurse took baby, and my partner went with as well, just to do that whole initial check if baby's healthy and okay. Dad, my partner, cut the umbilical cord, and then they went, and then I was left with my gynae, and we had a conversation. Like, we were having like a normal conversation about like scheduling. She's like, there are a lot of you guys who give birth in March, so now she's got like, I don't know how many mothers she needed to do C-sections on. So we were just chatting about that, and doctors also closer women, so I felt comfortable. Like, I was talking to someone like I really knew. She was a great doctor, man. So we started discussing that, and she's discussing while stitching me up. I think I did tear, but she didn't want to tell me what degree I teared. So I teared, and then she started giving me stitches, but the stitches happened after. So at first she waited and didn't do anything. So we were waiting for my placenta to come out. Then it came out. That was a relief as well. Then she stitched me up, and then she left. I was all alone in that delivery room. Baby and her dad were checking baby with the nurse, and contractions started again. Now I'm worried because baby's out. Everything that needed to be out is out. Why am I having contractions? No one told me about that your body will start contracting. Like, it doesn't give you a break. it will your uterus will want to go down in size because there's no baby anymore, right? It did that in, like, I only got a break for 30 minutes. Then I started contracting again, and now I feel like, honestly, the pains of contracting after I gave birth were worse than the pains of contracting when I was giving birth. And I'll explain why. When I was giving birth, I was in and out of consciousness. I could feel the pain, but I wasn't connected to the pain. Like, and the reason why I think is because your body releases so much adrenaline to help you manage the pain. So I was in pain, yes, but I wasn't feeling the pain to that extent. Now, contracting after giving birth, your body is too tired. That adrenaline that was helping you push baby out is gone. So you are feeling the pain. I screamed in that delivery room. I screamed so much. That was so painful, and it didn't stop for like a couple of hours. Right? So that was happening. And then I think it went down. I think I got too exhausted to scream. And then I could start feeling that I'm losing energy. I'm losing so much energy. And then just a background, I'm anemic, right? So if you're anemic or you have low iron, honestly, I've never seen it as a risk. Like, it's just that thing doctors say that they want you to drink iron pills. But when you're pregnant, whether you're having a C-section or a natural birth, it is a risk because it puts you at risk of bleeding out too much. So I started losing, like, I was bleeding a lot and I started losing a lot of energy. But luckily the nurse knew that I was anemic, so they gave me like a drip or something. But like, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I was gonna die, honestly. I felt so weak. I felt so weak. I wanted to speak and ask how my baby was doing. I wanted to do a lot of things. I wanted to speak and ask how I was doing, like what's wrong with me, but I didn't have the energy to do so. And yeah, like, the nurse was okay, but luckily I would open my eyes and I would look for my baby. And the nice thing is that they did skin to skin with my partner. So my baby had my partner. My partner was holding my baby, which made me relax a bit. So yeah, after getting that drip, I was okay. Then I started breastfeeding and all of those nice stuff.
What that?
Then on the second day of her being born, then that night as well, the first day pediatrician came and said, okay, baby's doing good. Then during that night, my baby started vomiting something black, right? And that was sent to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician was like, as long as it's coming out. They didn't tell me what it was. And then the following day, which is the 5th of March, pediatrician came in and tested baby's temperature, and she had a high temperature. And if you know, newborns are not supposed to have a high temperature. It means that something's wrong. So she had to go to the NICU. And yeah, she was in the NICU for a week. I suspect, because these doctors don't communicate honestly, but I suspect that she had swallowed her poop or meconium or something in the uterus. So that was what was making her sick. And there was a point in time where oxygen levels dropped in the NICU, so she needed oxygen, all of that. So she spent a week, and I was discharged. And yeah, but after a week, I think on the 11th, no, it wasn't the 11th, I don't remember the date, but after a week of her being in the NICU, she got discharged and we got to take our baby home. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening to my birth story. Tell me what you think in the comment section, and if you have a birth story, please tell me about your birth story in the comment section as well. Thank you.